All right, let's get going then. We've got Mr. Weidman online here. Good. Let's call the meeting to order. Welcome to our trustee meeting for February 2nd, 2021. We had a brief public hearing that commenced at 6 p.m. and then was tabled to continue on March 2nd. Now we're doing our 7 p.m. regular meeting. I would ask those who are able to please stand. And Mr. Miller, I understand you have an invocation for us.
Yes, sir. This comes from Bethel Baptist Temple, and it's from Senior Pastor Dr. Larry Cornett. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the blessings of this day. We thank you for life and for the privilege to live in this great land. We ask you to bless our nation and her leadership. We pray your blessings upon Sycamore Township. Make our community a lighthouse in this region and beyond. We pray for each person in every department. May we work together in unity and seize every opportunity to encourage one another. We ask that your sovereign will guide each decision that must be made this day. And we ask for your wisdom and direction as we look to the future. As we conduct this township meeting, we trust that you will be pleased with everything that is said and each decision that is made. It is in your holy and precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I'd ask everyone to remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. If you have a flag, or we'll have one on screen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. It's hard for all of us to do that synchronized over Zoom, I think. Very good. All right. Well, moving on, Mr. Porter, would you please do a roll call for this evening?
Mr. LaBarbera?
Aye, here.
Mr. James?
Here.
Mr. Weidman?
Present.
All right. Next order of business to note on the record. The state of Ohio has authorized local government bodies to meet through remote means during this pandemic, which we're doing tonight through a video conference using Zoom. Votes of the Board of Trustees have the same effect as if approval had occurred during an open meeting or hearing of the public body with all of us there in person. State law also permits resolutions and other township documents and official actions to be signed with an electronic signature. Would each of you please give your consent to placing your electronic signature on any items approved in this meeting which require your signature? Mr. Weidman?
I consent to electronic signature.
Mr. LaBarbera?
I do.
Mr. Porter?
I do.
And I do as well. Very good.
Mr. Chairman, for purposes of resolutions, I also do give my consent. Thank you.
Thank you. I suppose I should just ask, does everyone? Anyone not? Very good. Okay. First of all, we have minutes to approve here on our agenda. We have the minutes from the January 19th, 2021 trustee meeting.
Motion.
Second.
All right. Any discussion as to those minutes? Hearing none, Mr. Porter, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. LaBarbera?
Aye.
Mr. James?
Aye.
Mr. Weidman?
Aye.
All right. Next, we have the fiscal officer report, but Mr. Warwick alerted me that there's a purchase order we may need to approve before we get into approvals of the various receipts and disbursements Mr. Porter has. So Mr. Warwick, was there something we needed to consider?
Yes, I'm going to I have 5 purchase orders, and if the board wouldn't mind amending the agenda a little bit so I could do these, because at least one and maybe more of these purchase orders relate to bills that Mr. Porter is going to ask you to pay tonight. So to be hyper technical and do it in the right order, I'd just like to have you approve these purchase orders.
Okay. Mr. Porter, are you okay with that?
I'm fine with it.
Okay. Thank you. Then let's proceed with that first.
Okay. First purchase order is 8786. And this is to the Bureau of Workers' Compensation. in the amount of $27,351. The money's available and is appropriated.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Let's get it up on the screen for just a moment here if we could. Thank you. Okay. All right. Mr. Porter, would you call the roll?
Barbara,
Aye.
Mr. James,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman.
Aye.
Thank you. Next PO is 8787. This is for Atkins and Stang Electric. This is for the fiber optic work in the parks. And we're able to pay this out of COVID funds. And it's in the amount of $39.85. The money is available and properly appropriated.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, so this is approved for COVID?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I interject on this one?
Please.
This one will not be paid out of COVID. This is paid out of the TIF funds for the Kugler Mill Road project. This will come out of Kenwood TIF. The other Atkins and Stang, yeah, the other Atkins and Stang will come out of COVID.
Oh, which is the next, okay.
Okay, any further discussion on this one? If not, Mr. Porter, call the roll, please.
Mr. LaBarbera,
Aye.
Mr. James.
Aye.
Mr. Weedman.
Aye.
Okay, next one is 8788 to Rack and Baller. This is for the Kugler Mill Road improvement. This is also TIF funds. We can use those because the Kugler Mill does grant access to TIF number 26 and number 27. And the total of this purchase order is $151,516,917.27. You approved this, the board approved this project previously. The money is available and it is properly appropriated.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion as to this one? Mr. Porter, call the roll, please.
The only thing I would like to add is that some of this money will come back to the township. It's our, we are the ones administrating the contract, but we will be getting money back from Waterworks and from Hamilton County on this project. So it's only going to be just under $1 million for us in the long run.
That will come back into the TIF then that it's dispersed from at that, or TIFs at that point.
Correct.
Okay. Any further discussion or comments from anyone? Mr. Porter?
LaBarbera,
Aye.
Mr. James.
Aye.
Mr. Weedman.
Aye.
And I apologize, Mr. Chairman. I just noticed that we have a resolution that appropriates that money. So I should have done that first, but I'd like to do it right now in concurrence with this purchase order. The board's already approved this work, as I said, but I have a resolution that appropriates $1.6 million, which is slightly more than the PO that Tracy needs approved this evening, just to give us a little wiggle room there. And once again, this is appropriated $800,000 out of TIF 26 and $800,000 out of TIF 27. And the resolution reads, a resolution amending the 2021 appropriations, dispensing with a second reading and declaring an emergency.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion to approve this resolution and a second. Any discussion as to it?
I'd like Mr. Warwick to comment on how every meeting we seem to have amendments to the 2021 appropriations. I'm not sure. Can we get this done and then be done with it? Or it seems like so far we've had appropriation or amendments every time so far this year, I believe.
Yeah, I think that, I apologize for that. I think that we're going to have this happen a few more times this year as we try to get up to speed on all of the projects and how they should be appropriated. So I had mentioned that before, that I think this is going to happen a few times, and we just want to keep things in order because historically we have not. So sometimes we're still getting the cart before the horse, so to speak.
And I would add that it is useful to do this as we go along, as we need to amend the appropriations rather than waiting for a catch-all year-end appropriation correction. I'd rather us be as proactive as we can, but certainly I'd prefer us to do it in advance of having to redo it so that we have it all proper from the start. But sometimes things
just like to get the appropriations set forth so that we don't have to continue to amend them every month.
Yeah.
Mr. James, since this appropriation is for the prior PO, just out of an abundance of caution, after we vote on this resolution, if it passes, could we go back to that prior PO and have a new motion to approve that expenditure?
That's a good idea. Yes, we will do that.
Thank you.
All right. So we have a motion and a second as to this one. Is there any further discussion as to the resolution? Mr. Porter, will you call the roll then?
Mr. LaBarbera,
Aye.
Mr. James,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman.
Aye.
All right, let's return then to purchase order number, was this 8788?
8788, it's to Rackenballer, and it's in the amount of $1,516,917.27.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, any discussion this time as to this one? If not, Mr. Porter, please call the roll.
Mr. LaBarbera,
Aye.
Mr. James,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman.
Aye.
Okay, purchase order 8789, and this is Bechtold, the Bechtold Park to Atkins and Stain Electric. And this can use the CARES money, and it's in the amount of $18,570. The money's available and appropriated.
Motion.
Motion.
All right, one of you needs to second.
Second.
All right, thank you. Any discussion as to this? I do have a question myself. The description's Bechtold Park fiber splice, and I understand from what you said, CARES Act money is paying for this. What exactly was this? Was this new construction or a repair or what?
This is new construction. With the Sycamore Road project, fiber was run down Sycamore Road into the park. This is for electronic locks, cameras, everything, along with the Wi-Fi for our residents when they come to the park. And this is all fiber splicing that we cannot do in-house. We do not have the equipment. It's very special equipment. There's only a handful of people that are in this city that are actually doing splicing that fiber. And this was the best price that we found.
Okay, and this will enable public Wi-Fi in Bechtold Park then?
This will enable it. So we will be doing the rest in-house. We have to do this before we can run the rest of the cable and set all the Wi-Fi spots. We will be doing all that in-house, but this has to be done first.
Very good. That'll be a very nice amenity. Any other discussion as to this? Mr. Porter, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. LaBarbera,
Aye.
Mr. James,
Aye.
Mr. Weedman.
Aye.
And we have one more PO, 8790. This was sent to you earlier today, was just added to the stack. 8790. I don't know if you have it in your package, Skylar, but this is this is a blanket PO that has to do with CARES money that you appropriated recently. We're using some of that money, a blanket for $50,000. Like I say, you've approved it and appropriated it.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Skylar, do you have that to put on the screen?
Unfortunately, sir, I do not.
All right, let me do that just quickly, just so public can see it here. This is the PO we're referring to as 8790, correct?
That's right.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Any discussion as to this?
And that money is coming back to us from CARES. Is that correct?
We already have it.
We have it. All right. So we're just spending it. All right.
Yes, this is the CARES Act money that we got last year. We just had a blanket PO. Blanket POs expire at the end of the year. So we just had to bring another blanket to you so we could continue to pay the bills with that, because last year's PO expired.
Thanks, Trace.
All right, Mr. Porter, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. LaBarbera,
Aye.
Mr. James.
Aye.
Mr. Weedman.
Aye.
All right, Mr. Warwick, is that everything we need to get out of the way before Mr. Porter?
Yes, it is.
Okay, Mr. Porter, sorry to keep you waiting there for your report. Can we have our fiscal officer report now, please?
Yes, we had receipts of $500,507.10, disbursements of $392,481.51. A complete listing of all receipts and disbursements is available in your packet.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Porter, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. LaBarbera.
Aye.
Mr. James.
Aye.
Mr. Weedman.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Porter. Next, we have our public comment period on the agenda. Has anyone signed up to give comments this evening?
I don't believe we had anyone, sir.
That's unusual these days. Okay, well, we'll move on then. Next, we have our Sheriff Patrol report. Sergeant Kreider, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. What have you got for us?
Well, I was told to fill in. I asked Lieutenant Tarr if he had anything for me to pass along. I have nothing. I know that the Lieutenant Tarr mentioned something about the statistics were still being worked out. I don't know if that's due to the new RMS system that we've deployed in the last 2 weeks.
Okay. Well, sometimes it's good not to have anything to report from a policing perspective, isn't it? I guess that means things are going well.
Yes.
Sorry, Ryder, I do have a question. I was working with Lieutenant on early Rumpke pickups. Were you involved?
Yeah, I heard about that. I have the email. I have one of the night shift officers working on that.
Okay, good.
It's a matter of being at the end of the shift. It's usually around what, 5 o'clock in the morning, maybe sometimes a little earlier than that, maybe a little later. Yeah, it's right at shift change. I have an officer that's on it and hunting for these guys that are picking up garbage early. So I'm just waiting on him to email me back with some kind of enforcement action.
Okay.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right. Anything else for Sergeant Kreider from anyone? All right. Thanks, sir.
Oh.
We'll move on then. Next, we have our EMS and fire report. Chief Penny, how are you?
Good. How are you guys? A couple things. We had 77 new additional cases from our last meeting for quarantine in the house. I think the numbers are actually dropping a little bit. We're usually up over 100. So that's a good sign. I got a couple emails. One of them was from the Public Health Department that offered up a website portal for fire and police for their vaccines. And we might have to take advantage of a couple of guys that weren't able to get the vaccine at the time that we gave them out. And then I know Sergeant Tarr was saying that they weren't obligated, they weren't able to get it at all because it wasn't offered to them. So I forwarded the email to him so he could have the sheriff guys sign up for that. So hopefully the sheriffs can start getting their vaccines through that website. We'll see how that goes. Now I got another email from the public health on a couple of web links for people that can sign up to get a vaccine. And I forwarded that to Beth today. And I know she has one on the website now, and we'll probably add this second one. It was https://vaccines.coronavirus.ohio.gov. And it's a web link that you can go into where you can sign up for a vaccine through a web portal. So we'll get that on the, have Beth get that on the website so the residents can take advantage of that. Yeah, the only other thing is on our monthly report, which I'll be sending to you in the next couple of days. The county communication center changed one of their dispatches from used to have chest pain and possible heart attack, and they changed both of those to cardiac events. So now you'll see on their monthly report just cardiac events, which is formerly would be chest pains and heart attacks. So that's the only thing that's really changed on that. And the only last thing I have is that last weekend we were able to get all the firefighters and a few admin people their second vaccine. So the majority of the township employees have their second vaccine now. So they're pretty much done with that mess. That's all I have.
Chief, I was on the, if I can jump in here, Chief, I was on the Hamilton County health call today, the public health call, and the Commissioner Greg Kesterman said the numbers for Hamilton County are great. They're really gone down considerably, and on all the levels in the Hamilton County. So the numbers are downtrending, and we're still red. So.
Yeah, I saw from today that the hospital stays are a lot lower than they had been.
Jim, anything else from you?
No, that's all.
Did you have any questions for Chief Penny?
No.
Okay, Chief, I did have a question. I know the construction's going on out front there on the apron and the concrete. That's not interfering, I hope, with any operations you guys have going on, is it?
No, we have all of our trucks coming out the other side of the building. As long as we don't meet a dump truck coming head in, we'll be fine.
That would be unfortunate. Yes. Okay. Very good.
Tracy, while we're talking about that, if I can jump in, Tracy, is there a time limit on that driveway being ripped up? Because when you're moving those fire trucks out of there, there's no light there now, so they just have one access. Is there a time limit on how? I mean, if they're taking care of that part of the pavement the way they did on our side, it's a nice little wait. So
it is. So it'll, due to the weight of fire trucks, it'll definitely be 14 days after it's poured. They were excavating today. They're supposed to be framing up tomorrow, finishing grade and framing up tomorrow, and pouring later this week, Thursday or Friday. So it'll be 14 days from that point.
Thank you.
Personally, I'll wait for the wait. They're taking that big hump, most of that hump out, going where you exit onto the street, and with a 35-ton fire truck, we've put more leaf springs on fire trucks because of that hump in that front lot, and we can shake a stick at. So if it eliminates that hump and we can have a smooth ride out of there, it's well worth the wait for us.
Yeah, it's going to be much better.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else for Chief Penny? Thanks, Chief. We will move on then to roads and maintenance. Tracy, what do you have for us?
Well, obviously our guys have been very busy the last week. From last Wednesday till Monday, it seemed like they were working around the clock almost. We went through 305 tons of salt within that time period due to the temperatures being so low. everything that fell stuck to the road. So those guys worked nonstop. I think they did a great job also. So we did receive, I had ordered and we got delivered 500 tons of salt today. So we are back to capacity again. So we're in good shape for salt. And the guys love the new system. You know, we're using the new chemical system in the back with the brine and the beet juice and the new salt dome, and gotten great results and great comments. So your investment is definitely paying off. It's working great. So besides that,
I just want to, Tracy, can I just say, say thanks to your guys who've done a great job on the roads through this weather. They're working hard and doing a great job. So thank them for us, please.
I will definitely pass that along. Thank you.
Yeah, they had some odd hours. They probably had to work for some of that this weekend too, with the timing of some of that snow. So we do all appreciate that.
Yeah, especially last week. I believe it was either Wednesday or Thursday, one of those days. You know, it started snowing right at quitting time. Yeah. So they didn't get to go home. They went all into the nighttime hours. So that was a long day for them. But they did a great job.
Yep.
That new formula works. It's really good. You laid it down. It was like hours before the snow came. Snow came. Everybody was messed up with it. Our area was perfect. Perfect.
Yep. Yeah, they worked good. So the next thing I have on the agenda is the OPWC. All those projects have been rated. Appeals have come in. Appeals have been rated. And our project, the Donegal Headwall, was the #1 rated project in the county. So Mr. Rudolph Schofer put that grant together and did a fabulous job. That's a head wall that has collapsed down in Dillonvale, down on Donegal by the intersection of Lalata. About a $200,000 job, so there's going to be about a $100,000 grant with that project that we were successful in getting. So we've had great success with our grants in the past 4 or 5 years.
Well, thanks to Steve for getting that thing put together then in such great form. So
Yep. I will thank him. Next, our 25% TIF road program. I believe you all received all the roads that we're doing. It is quite an extensive list. We are actually doing 10.25 miles of roadway. We only have 50.6 miles of road. So we're looking at about 20%. And as you can see, they're all over. We have quite a few in Kenwood, quite a few in Dillonvale. We have quite a few up north. So it's being spread around all over. This is really going to bring us back to where we are. Some of these roads are in great need. And some of the roads that I was looking at before, I was just going to do because of age. We've got some roads that are 20, 22 years old, but because of the preventative maintenance that we have been endeavored into and you guys have invested in with crack sealing and cape sealing and onyx, we've got 22-year-old roads that are in great shape. And it was just, we might as well not do them. Let's go look for, another road. It says something when you've got a chance like this with the 25% of the unencumbered TIF and you're looking for roads to fix. That really says something about the program. But these roads that we're doing right now, it's really going to push us ahead in our programming.
Very good.
And just for reference, we had about $5 million available with the 25% TIFs. With this project with contingency, estimate is just under $3.4 million. We are also going to be looking not only with the Donegal head wall, but we have 3 other head walls that need work back in Dillonvale, where we have erosion coming out near the road. So we're going to be repairing 4 head walls in all this year That will be part of this money also. That's going to be about $400,000. So right now, our estimate is about 3.8. We will not be dipping into that whole $5 million.
Yeah, Trace, I just want to say that this just demonstrates the great value of tax increment financing in our community and some of the great things it's been able to do for us with infrastructure. So, are we going to be able to get all this done? Do we have?
I'll let you know as soon as we get a contractor. I think we will, because we're going out so early. You know, I asked you for a motion to advertise a long time ago, just to keep everything straight. Now that we have the program together, I'm going to ask you for one again tonight. We are advertising in the paper this coming Friday and next Friday. And we will be opening the bids the following Friday, which I believe is the 18th. It's either the 18th or the 19th. So this Friday and next Friday, I believe it's the 5th and the 12th, opening on the 19th. So we'll proceed as rapidly as we can to review those bids so we can award that contract, so we can get a contractor on board early in the year so we can proceed. And I mean, this is a lot of work, but with a lot of work, you also get the bigger companies. You know, you're going to get nothing but the major players probably put bids in on this.
All right, well, let me call for a motion then, as Mr. Kellums has requested.
Motion.
All right, the motion would be to approve the 2021 road improvement program with the advertising as described by Mr. Kellums and the bid opening on the date noted. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and we had a second, Mr. LaBarbera?
We did, yes. Okay.
Any discussion as to that from anyone? All right, Mr. Porter, will you call the roll?
Mr. LaBarbera.
Aye.
Mr. James.
Aye.
Mr. Weedman.
Thank you, gentlemen. As you know, I told you before that the Duke project was getting ready to start. Just wanted to tell you that they have sent us a letter that we have put on our website in regards to the project starting. We just want to keep all our residents notified of everything that's going on with that project. So right. I also need some signatures. I don't know if we can do this electronic. I'll ask Beth tomorrow, but this is something that we do every year. This is a certification of our township highway system. This basically certifies how many miles we've gotten in township roads and what our the money and program that we invested last year. So 50.667 is our miles. So I'll just need to get signatures on that.
I can come by the office and sign that if we need it on paper.
Yeah, it is paper. They mailed it to us. It was not electronic.
The other trustees could either do the same or consent now to having someone sign for them on there, I suppose.
I can stop by. I'll stop by. When you need a Trace?
Sometime this week would be nice.
I'll stop by.
Tom, do you want to stop by or do you want to give consent to someone placing yours?
I'll give consent to just in case I can't get over there this week. I'll give consent for my electronic signature.
Very good. Anything else, Tracy?
No, sir.
I have a few questions. Let me ask the other trustees first. Do they have any questions for you or comments?
I
don't.
Okay, just a couple things. First of all, you mentioned the fiber, and we discussed that earlier with the POs. Do we have a map in the township of where our fiber is deployed?
We do not. We are working on that, though. There is going to be another PO come to you in the future that I do not have a price for yet, but we have some problems with our fiber. around the Galbraith and Montgomery intersection going over to Bob Meyer Park. So we're going, that is not anything that we can trace. We have, John has tried to trace it and has seen that the signal is not going through. So we're gonna have to get somebody that can repair that. But at that same time, we are also working on a map to map out all the fiber, where it goes, and where all the Wi-Fi points will be. So that's something we are working on.
Okay, good. I'd certainly like to see that when it's developed. Was the fiber outage around Bob Meyer Park recent, or do we know?
No, it's been like that for several months.
Okay, there was Metropolitan Sewer District work going on in that area around that time. Do you think possibly there was a cut there, or is it underway?
I kind of doubt it. It's aerial.
Oh, okay.
So but it also goes through a few trees there. Now there could be some, you know, they were working out on Montgomery Road too. So yeah, we really don't know where the break is. And that's why we have to bring somebody else in. We cannot trace that break.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to bring up, I've mentioned this to Mr. Warwick this week and done a little research myself, and I want to get it on your radar if it's possible, because we have this opportunity with the 25% unencumbered TIF funds. And it looks like we're allocating 3.8 million or so, you said, of up to 5 that's potentially there for this. I don't want to spend money willy-nilly either, but from what I understand, that money can be used for road maintenance of various kinds, also for public safety work too, but road maintenance seems to be the primary focus from what was in amended Senate Bill 4. And in looking at that, state law, Ohio Revised Code 5571.10 indicates that as part of improving or maintaining any road, the Board of Township Trustees may provide for landscape and beautification projects along the road. Such projects may include planting trees or other plants and installing and maintaining decorative pathways, walls, signage, fencing, banners, fountains, and other similar features. And I bring that up because I know I've mentioned to you before, Bechtold Park has some pretty areas and some areas that could use some touching up. And we have roadways through there. And we have those chopped off telephone pole dividers to keep people off the grass there rather than curbs or nicer looking walls or fences or landscaping features. All of our other parks don't have that. They have curbs or nothing at all. I don't know if there's a historical problem with people doing donuts in the fields at Bechtold that we were trying to protect against or what.
There absolutely is.
Okay, well, maybe people have gotten over that urge, I hope, or maybe there's a prettier way that could be cost
like our posts?
Well, they're not all even.
Our posts. How about if we just get new posts and make them all nice and even?
That might help, but maybe there's something else we could do too. And if there's an opportunity to use these unencumbered TIF funds for that, and it sounds like we could because that parallels the roadways through there, that might be an option. So just something I wanted to put on your radar as a possibility too. If we can beautify the park in some way and make use of those funds for that, that might be a unique opportunity to do it while those funds are available. On the other hand, if it's going to be really, really costly, maybe not. But yeah, the other initiative.
Well,
go ahead.
As you can see on the bottom of that list, and I failed to mention that, Bechtold Park is on that list. Okay. It is getting paved because the parking lot and driveways are falling apart. So we were looking at putting new posts and straightening them all out. Now I can price curb, but it is going to be very expensive to put curb all the way around that park. That park has more asphalt than our longest roads, more than Marlette, more than Gideon, which I was shocked to find out when I figured out how big it was.
Maybe there's some other option there that looks nicer than those. Maybe not. Maybe at least leveling the tops of them would help. But it is a marked difference from our other parks too, and how we block off the grass from the pavement. But as you say, there is a lot of pavement there. So something to think about. While you're looking at the park, the dumpster enclosure next to the shelter close to Sycamore Road probably needs a little upkeep too.
Yes. Well, that is actually coming down. When we finish our project in the back, we will be getting a 30-yard dumpster back there. Mm-hmm. So all the smaller dumpsters will be leaving and they will not be in the parks anymore.
Okay, very good. The other thought I had, and this may sound silly, but I've been doing some looking into costs of opening our bathrooms year round versus continuing to use portalets in the winter. And it looks like portalets are certainly more cost effective for what we do there, because we'd need some equipment, winterization, and additional utility costs to open the bathrooms. At Schuler Park, immediately behind the North Fire Station, there's a portalet enclosure there made of stone with a little roof that actually looks kind of nice, at least for dressing those up. We don't have those in other parks. That's something perhaps we should consider doing, at least to beautify the park. And what with those portalets being adjacent to the roadway, that might be something that falls under road maintenance and might be subject to use of those TIF funds also. So
we'll check into that.
All right, thank you. I don't think I have anything else. So anybody else?
Maybe you could weigh in on that. Would portalets qualify under the rules of the using that those TIF funds?
Well, in talking to Brenda, it had to be maintenance. So a new structure would not qualify as maintenance.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
Well, actually, though, under revised code 557110, it looks like it would. That was the code section I referenced earlier.
That's one of the reasons why I just asked Mr. Desai if he would comment on that.
Yeah.
I can look into it, but I'm not familiar with that provision. So I'll take a look at it and send an email to the trustees.
Thank you.
Thanks. Anybody else? All right, thanks, Tracy.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on to planning and zoning then. Skylar, if you could pop in on the screen here.
Sir, hi there. Okay, tonight I have two resolutions for your consideration. I'll do a quick screen share here. Okay. The first one I have is removal of vegetation, garbage, refuse, and other debris. This is at 8308 St. Clair Avenue. This is a property owner that he actually owns multiple properties in the township. All of the properties have the same issues. We actually passed a resolution on another one of those properties at I believe the last trustee meeting. Again, all three properties are having the same issues: trash and debris, also junk vehicles. This is a approach that we're trying to take this time around, where if they don't comply, we get on the property and then we're able to better assess the vehicles. So this is probably going to be a phased approach, and this is phase one for this particular site. So you guys have any questions about this one, or would you like me to read the resolution?
I think this is a multi-time offender, I believe. 8308 St. Clair.
We have a long history with this particular property owner. Yes, sir.
Skylar, is there anybody living there?
Yeah, I believe all houses are occupied. I think some of them are rentals. I honestly, they might all three be a rental. I'm not quite sure where the gentleman lives. But we are, we have had some communication with him, and it's not cooperative.
All right. Any other questions or comments about it, anyone?
I believe my units have responded there for trouble runs.
Really?
Yeah, I don't have any specific details, but the address is one of the common trouble run addresses that we respond to every once in a while.
Yeah, we got a lot of history at that location for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that, I'll read the title. It's a resolution providing for and authorizing removal of vegetation, garbage, refuse, and other debris, and declaring a nuisance for the property located at 8308 St. Clair Avenue, Sycamore Township, Ohio, 45236.
Motion.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to adopt the resolution and a second. Any further discussion? Mr. Porter, call the roll, please.
Mr. LaBarbera,
Aye.
Mr. James.
Aye.
Mr. Weedman.
Aye.
Okay. All right. The other resolution I have is for 8566 Plainfield Road. You can see this is another problem property, very visible in the Roswell and Dillonville area. Just again, accumulated trash and debris. We have had some history with this particular property as well. It's really just an accumulation of a lot of little things, but those things add up when you're not properly maintaining your exterior property. Any questions about this one?
This is a residence, is that correct?
Yes, sir, it is. Yeah, I apologize for these pictures. That is a single family home.
Okay.
It's interesting you had to ask that though.
Yeah, it's hard to tell from the photos, and with it looks like a gated fence there in the driveway, almost a commercial property. Yeah,
this picture almost makes it look like is that a repair shop or something that drives back in there? Those are just random car parts.
Okay, is this currently occupied as best you can tell?
Yes.
Any luck with the owner here?
No, sir.
All right. Anyone else have any comments or questions?
This is tenant occupied, and it has seemed vacant lately. There's usually nobody there during the day. Once every few days, a car will pull in and out. So don't really know if anybody's living there right now or not.
Oh, you think it's vacant now? Okay.
I'd say there's a chance of it.
Is that resident Kellums or that's speaking?
That's whatever you want it to be.
Neighborhood Watch Chairman Kellums, right?
That's right.
All right. Well, if no one has further comments, would you present the resolution, please?
All right. Resolution providing for and authorizing removal of vegetation, garbage, refuse, and other debris, and declaring a nuisance for the property located at 8566 Plainfield Road, Sycamore Township, Ohio, 45236.
Motion.
All right, we have two movements. I'll second in this instance. Any further discussion as to this? All right, Mr. Porter, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. LaBarbera.
Aye.
Mr. James.
Aye.
Mr. Weedman.
Aye.
Okay, and I'll keep my comments short tonight. Zoning Commission is canceled this month. No business. We do have a tabled item that it's the PUD review for the Hill Point development. That's not going to go back in front of Zoning Commission until the trustees review the zone change component of that, which is a separate case. That's 2020-07Z, which you have a public hearing scheduled for 6 p.m. February 16th. So potentially, depending on what happens, the PD could come back in front of the Zoning Commission in March. So we do have one case for Board of Zoning Appeals on February 17th. That's at 6:30, and that will be remote.
And I'm sorry, I missed the beginning of what you said. The project for which we have the hearing on the 16th, that's the townhome project on Montgomery Road?
Yes, it's called Hill Point. I apologize. Hill Point, that is a Grand Communities development, which is a subsidiary of Fisher Homes, LLC.
Okay. Has there been any change in the submitted plan for that over time?
It's my understanding that either there's been an attempt or there's been some initial discussion with between the developer and the residences in the area, but nothing has been submitted back to the township.
Okay,
So
and we're still
at this point in time, it's just rumor. So they've requested that it be the case be tabled until they can reach that, but nothing has changed. I'm hoping to hear something back before before there's a public hearing on the other piece. But the zone change, it stands on its own merits. So they may not submit anything.
All right. If you would reach out to them about the hearing on the 16th and find out if they do intend to go forward now or plan to request further tabling, that might be useful to know early on.
Absolutely. I've been pushing for a response. As it stands now, we're still on for the 16th.
Okay. All right. Got anything else for us?
Tonight I don't. That's tried to make it short tonight.
All right. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Miller about anything?
No.
All right. Thanks, Skylar.
Great. Thank you.
So moving on then, we have our law director report. Mr. Desai, what do you have for us?
Mr. James, tonight, just one item for the law director report. We did receive official notification from the state that the request applied for the TIF extension. This pertains to the property at North Lake Drive, 11530 North Lake Drive, that was approved. So there is a 15-year extension for that property. That's a property that's owned by Equistar Chemicals, also is known as Cummings Westlake LLC. So, in a nutshell, the extension requested for the assessed valuation of the improvements to the property was granted for an additional 15-year period after the original period expires.
When did we make that application?
Let's see here. We made that application on November 26, 2019.
And Deepak, that's at the old value, correct?
Well, it's a mixture. So there was additional infrastructure improvements, additional public infrastructure improvements approved in 2017, and that was by resolution 2017-102. So it is a combination of the original and the additional.
Makes sense. Gotcha.
So I'm curious, what are we continuing to pay off through the TIF there? And will that obligation endure for another 15 years on a bond of some sort, or what?
I'm not familiar with where the financing and debt service is on that, Mr. James.
I'm not sure there's any obligation any further on that, but maybe Mr. Warwick could weigh in.
I think it's free and clear.
I'm curious as to what the purpose was in extending it then.
Well, because we have the ability to take the TIF funds that we generate from that project, and it allows us to do things like put sidewalks in on Kemper Road, resurface Kemper Road, which, as you probably know, the county has no money to do, and quite frankly, it's getting pretty bad over that way. So it allows us to use those funds that we normally would count on somebody else for that don't have them to do improvements. And I think it's extremely valuable to our township. And we just got done spending $3.8 million on our local roads using TIF funds. So it's a pretty good example of why TIF is so important to us.
Yeah. Okay. So very good. Thank you. Anybody have any questions as to that? If not, Mr. Desai, did you have anything else?
That's all I have to report, Mr. James. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Let me see. Next, we have the administrator report. We've already covered some of what we had on the agenda for that. Mr. Warwick, what else do we have from you here?
I have two resolutions remaining. The first one has to do with getting rid of obsolete and surplus property. Have in your packet the resolution with the exhibit. Most of this is, a lot of it's driven by upgrades that we've made with COVID money, to make things more sterile and to make our remote operating more robust. So everything's been listed there. and most of it will just be a straight disposal. There's some furniture items that possibly will be donated, and maybe some of those items could be sold for a very nominal amount. We just ask your permission to proceed with disposing of this. The resolution reads, a resolution declaring township property as surplus and obsolete and authorizing its disposition, dispensing with a second reading and declaring an emergency.
Motion.
Second. Maybe I'd like to get Skylar maybe to weigh in on this just to make sure. Are some of these monitors, should we be holding some of these, just holding them back in the event that we have issues with some of our other monitors? Do we have any backups currently?
Let's see here.
We've repurposed some of them already, haven't we, Skylar?
Yeah, we have. We've moved a lot of the good ones around to other departments. You know, we've actually set up a couple offices, additional offices for maintenance supervisors, and they've you know, they've taken on some of the useful equipment. I went through this list. This was actually developed between me and our IT folks from Velicor. This all really is antiquated equipment. The computers on this list are actually not from our last round of computers, but the ones before that were just taking up space downstairs. This is early spring cleaning. You know, and once we get this stuff out of here, there's probably going to be another smaller disposal that we'll do shortly after.
So the things like the DeskJet 6122, is that operational?
That particular one, I don't believe it is. That's, I mean, it's kind of like a discolored piece of junk down there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have no more questions.
The computers that you said were taken out of use earlier on, do you know approximately when they were taken out of use?
No, I don't. You know, I would say they've probably some of these were the last run of computers from the year before, but others we're still beige. You know, exteriors. So if that tells you how old they are.
Is the data on the drives still intact on those?
So currently they are, but once we have approval to destroy, we will destroy the hard drives as well.
Conceivably, some of the information on those could be subject to record retention requirements or document preservation or hold requirements. That's something the law director might want to review perhaps before.
Hang on one second. Let me start my video. So the way we utilize our PCs is everything is backed up to the server. You know, anything that's of value as a public record is going to be stored there. You know, while I haven't audited every single one of these computers, you know, I do know enough about our network infrastructure to know that these would not be the you know, the only local saves of any of these digital documents. So, you know, anything that's on here, you can find on the server.
You're confident of that?
I'm as reasonably confident of that as I can be. I know our IT infrastructure now. If these machines were on the network, they were backed up.
Okay.
So Skylar, all these machines were on the network, correct?
Please.
All these machines were on the network.
Yes.
Okay.
So what we should do, and we can have this conversation tomorrow, Ray and Skylar, is there are sometimes unique situations where you have to preserve things in their original state, even though you may have them backed up. So let's plan to talk tomorrow and we'll walk through this a little bit more. I don't think it's going to hold up the passage of the resolution if the trustees are so inclined, because the resolution is based on 50510, which does give us the right to dispose of obsolete and unnecessary personal property. So this is a completely separate issue I'm talking about, and we'll talk about that tomorrow.
Yeah. You know, if, and I'll add one more thing, if it's a make or break on this resolution, we can physically pull every hard drive, and those hard drives can, they'll certainly take up a lot less space in the township. So, you're talking about a banker's box full of hard drives. If we need to retain those, I can even pull the memory. So if that's how you guys want us to do it, we can.
Yeah, it's good to know. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, any further discussion? All right, now I've lost track. Did we actually read the resolution title yet?
Yeah, I think you have a motion and a second.
All right, very good. If there's no further discussion, Mr. Porter, will you call the roll?
Mr. LaBarbera.
Aye.
Mr. James.
Aye, subject to retention of the hard drives.
Mr. Weedman.
Aye.
Thank you. The next resolution is the transfer of funds from the general fund to the Sycamore Township CIC. As we move into people doing their taxes, this is the time of year that people ask for the grants or the refund of their earnings tax. 100,000 should just about cover the year. That's about what was spent out of the CIC last year. The title reads, a resolution authorizing and directing a transfer of funds to the Sycamore Township CIC, Inc., the designated Community Improvement Corporation of Sycamore Township, for funding grants and operating costs and dispensing with the second reading.
Motion.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second as to this resolution. For the record, the funds placed into the CIC are used to provide effectively tax refunds to our residents who work in the JEDZ areas. Is that correct, Mr. Ward?
Yes.
All right. Any further discussion as to this resolution? Mr. Porter, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. LaBarbera.
Aye.
Mr. James.
Aye.
Mr. Weedman.
Aye.
And the other thing I would mention to you as we go into executive session this evening, if you signed up via filling out the registration form, you should automatically end up in that the executive session room. If you did it another way, then Rob Ebel may have to do something to get you in there. And once everybody's in an executive session, the session is over, you can exit. If you don't exit after 2 minutes, you'll be automatically exited out.
All right. Anything else from you first, Mr. Ward?
No.
All right. Next, we have trustee comments then. Mr. Weedman, any comments?
Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about the CARES Act distribution of funds from the state. As you probably know, the last CARES funds were distributed using the local government formula. And as president of the Hamilton County Township Association, representing all the townships in Hamilton County, I fought that vigorously, and to no avail. We lost, and they did continue to distribute that money through the local government fund formula. We do have some ears now. I've had conversations with Representative Seitz, and we are pushing to try to get this and to change the second distribution of CARES Act funds to a per capita formula instead of the local government fund distribution formula that they originally used. So we're hoping that that's going to change things for the better for a lot of townships in Hamilton County. The only other thing I'll add is that this week is yesterday was Township Day in Ohio, declared by the state legislature. The Ohio Township Association is currently doing their having their conference this week, and it is all by Zoom. We had a nice kickoff by the governor on Monday, and we'll continue to go all the way through Friday. There is one other piece of legislation that I'm working on. As you probably know, back when the townships had a contract up with the Cincinnati Waterworks, and we fought vigorously in court to, and we got a temporary stay on them increasing our rates. And I ended up working on behalf of the townships in negotiating with Mayor Cranley a 50-year deal, which kept us at the same formula we were at for the last 35 years. While I think that's good, it's not as good as we could be. And I'm working with Representative Brinkman right now on some legislation. There was legislation that was put in last time and ended up not going through, but we're working again to get it back reintroduced so that we could get a, the law would now read, right now, townships and cities outside the city of Cincinnati actually pay a 25% higher rate than the city of Cincinnati residents. Under the new law, it would actually read that no one would pay an additional 25% rate. Everyone coming off the Cincinnati Waterworks service would pay the identical amount. If the city of Cincinnati violated that rule, they would lose their local government funds, which would be substantial to the city of Cincinnati. So we're continuing to work on that in hopes that we can get, there are a lot of representatives in the House that are interested in pushing this through. So hopefully we will be successful in getting that through, and it will reduce our costs probably by, I'm guessing, 15%, because there are about 300,000 people in the townships in Hamilton County. There's also about 300,000 people in the city of Cincinnati. So we would get a pretty good reduction if that was the case. So we're continuing to work on that, and that's all I have.
You did excellent work with that negotiation with the city a couple of years ago, by the way, and getting that deal. So thanks from all of us as residents for getting that for the townships. Question while it's on my mind, the Hamilton County Township Association, is it ever going to meet during this pandemic?
So yeah, we will meet. I think you should have gotten an email this week from me, February 25th. We will meet as it relates to our by Zoom, as it relates to our statutory obligation with the county engineer, and we're still working on new bylaws for the Township Association. We hope to get. I probably will set something up for sometime in April so that we can get some state, probably a state representative and a state senator to give us an update on some legislation as it relates to township. So that's where we're at right now.
That's great to hear. I did not get that email from you, by the way. So if you would please resend it to the township address, I want to make sure I get that on my calendar. So, Mr. LaBarbera, did you have a comment?
I also don't have.
Oh, sorry. Say that again.
Did you get that email, Mr. LaBarbera?
No, I didn't get it either.
Did you get it, Mr. Porter?
I don't believe I did. I don't remember seeing it.
It should have been in there. I got a number of people that responded to me already, so I'll check it and I'll make sure you get it.
Okay, thank you.
Tracy, did you get it?
Okay, thanks.
You're on the list.
Tracy? I did not.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, that's good to know. I will go back and resend the whole thing.
Okay, thank you. Mr. LaBarbera, comments?
Yeah, a reminder at our next trustees meeting on February 16th, I've invited Natalie Fields, the head branch manager of the Deer Park Sycamore Township branch of the Cincinnati Public Library, to give us an update on the plans for the new $5 million, 25,000 square foot library in our Dillonville Shopping Center. Construction slated for later this month through June, planned opening, the grand opening in July. And then a heads up, the next day, on February 17th, the library and GBB Architects are going to host an informal renovation and expansion information session from 5:30 to 6:30 that will go into more detail on a Zoom meeting, and they'll record it for those who won't be able to make it on the live presentation time. And for more information on that and to sign up to see that presentation, just go to CincinnatiLibrary.org. Just want to mention this, that I've been talking about this for 9 months to various people in the building about pickleball courts. Well, the Parks Advisory Committee, Jason Petty was generous enough to allow me to speak to them on the 25th. My purpose was to get their approval to explore tennis pickleball courts at Bechtold Park and solicit preliminary cost proposals for the idea. The 2 tennis courts would be for pickleball courts, complete tennis or pickleball. And they seem to be in favor of that idea, but first they want to see the results of the park survey that the residents have now, the complete, and they also would like to wait until the park's plan is finished. And they requested lighting. Of course, the park's closed at dusk, tennis lessons for residents, rain gardens for drainage and ADA accessible. And the last 2 could very well be easily put in this project. One person won the courts up north, and I was really hoping to move forward and have this completed by late spring. We have the newly acquired space in Bechtold Park, and I want to thank Steve Rudishofer and Jason Petty for their help in researching this. It's been a huge success elsewhere in Madeira, Montgomery, Anderson, pickleball. But, and of course, I mentioned this to you 9 months ago. The park's board approval was the first step. Second step would be to convince both of you Toms. And then the third would be to get the money. And we had thought maybe around $150,000, but that's just a ballpark figure. And so at this time, I'm going to drop the idea and perhaps revisit this next year. But as of now, I'm not going to pursue this, but I want to thank Jason and Steve for their help in this. And then also just a reminder to the residents that, of course, we have the quarterly newsletter you get. I urge you to go to our website, sign up for the monthly newsletter that you'll get. It's on our website. We mail the quarterly newsletter to you, but on our website, we email you once a month all the information going on in the township. And that's all I have.
All right, a few comments from me. Among other things, today is Groundhog Day. Today we all see what Punxsutawney Phil has to predict for our weather going forward. And I have to say, I didn't see this morning what he found, but I hope it wasn't 6 more weeks of winter because it's been plenty cold so far. It's also Black History Month, the month of February. The governor issued a proclamation about that yesterday and unfortunately reissued last year's as it turned out, which put a little egg on his face, but his heart was certainly in proclaiming it. This year's theme is the Black family, representation, identity, and diversity. So I wanted to recognize that as a month that we recognize here in Sycamore Township and throughout the state of Ohio. As Mr. Weidman noted, yesterday was Ohio Township Day. It's a day that's been around since 1999 as an official Ohio Day, recognizing townships and the contributions of those who work within them and work for them. The Ohio Township Association, as Mr. Weidman mentioned, is having its annual convention or conference. This year it's online rather than in person. I have to say it was very valuable going last year to Columbus and meeting trustees from other townships to get their perspectives on things. It's unfortunate we have to do that over Zoom this year, but there's still some valuable education coming from it, certainly. And maybe next year everybody can get together again for it. One of the things the Township Association does, by the way, that the public may be interested in is they sponsor a scholarship every year. They actually give away 4 $1,500 college scholarships to high school seniors who live in townships in Ohio and who are going to go to an Ohio college or university. The application deadline this year has been extended to a little later than usual. It's February 28th. If you go to ohiotownships.org/scholarship-program, you can look up information about it, about how to qualify. One of the qualifiers is that the student needs to attend a local government meeting in Ohio. It doesn't have to be the township in which they live, and it can be by Zoom currently, but it's definitely worth checking out for any high school seniors out there. So anyway, that's what I've got. Announcement changes before we move on to our executive session issues here. Zoning Commission meeting for Monday, February 8th has been canceled, as Mr. Miller noted. The Board of Zoning Appeals meeting, the date has changed to Wednesday, February 17th at 6:30 p.m. for their remote meeting. Take a look at our published calendar on the website for any other events going on this month and for potential changes. Moving on the agenda, we've got a couple things set for executive session. Would someone care to make the motion for each of those sessions?
Before we go to executive session, I just checked my email and you were on distribution. All of you were, but apparently you didn't get it. So I'm going to resend this out tonight to everybody just to make sure everybody got it.
Thank you.
I'll get it out later this evening regarding the meeting on the 25th, I think it is.
Thanks, Don.
Sometimes when you put too many people on the email, it doesn't go to all of them for some reason.
That might be the problem with this.
Yeah, so, well, thanks. Okay, would someone care to make a motion as to the executive sessions, or I can do it? So,
a motion
to go to executive session with Law Director Deepak Desai as permitted by Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22 to consider the sale of township property, and to adjourn into executive session with Law Director Deepak Desai as permitted by Ohio Revised Code Section 121.22 to discuss pending litigation.
Second.
All right. And into executive session following our vote, we'll be inviting Mr. Desai, Mr. Warwick, the trustees, Mr. Porter, Mr. Miller, and Mr. Kellums. Is there anyone else we need for that?
I think so.
All right. Mr. Porter, would you call the roll as to the vote for these executive sessions, please?
LaBarbera?
Aye.
Mr. James?
Aye.
Mr. Weedman?
Aye.
Tom, ready to roll?
We lost Tom Weedman.
Oh.
Wonder if he left the meeting instead of the room.
Let me look in the breakout room. There he is. He's logging back. He must have dropped off. I just clicked him in.
Okay, Tom is, and we lost Mr. Porter also. I don't know if he's coming back or not, but are we live streaming again?
Yes, sir.
All right, very good. Well, I'll call us back into order in regular session here. And we lost Mr. Weedman again.
There he is.
There we go. Okay. All right. Well, Mr. Warwick, will you call roll since Mr. Porter is not here?
Mr. Weedman?
Present.
Mr. James?
Here.
Mr. LaBarbera?
Here.
All right. We have returned from executive session. Is there any further business to consider?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second that motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Stay safe, stay healthy.
Exactly. Have a great night, everyone.
Take care.
Good night, everybody.